welcome back to Lauren's Take. I decided I'm going to make a really quick review video, basically kind of more objectively, subjectively, how I felt about the novel, what I loved, what I hated. I'm kidding, nothing. I didn't hate anything. I'm just telling you that now. Because some of you are going to just want to hear you up, like, what you thought about it. Did you like it? Did you not? And then I'm going to make one that has all of my feelings that I may post, but I may not post. It depends on how I'm feeling. But anyway, please subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and let's get into it. Alright, so I'm not going to go into a full synopsis of the story. I've already told you what the book was about, exactly what the summary was for the book. It was a long book. It was 778 pages, including the epilogue, and you know, a lot happened. A lot of great things, a lot of sad things. So we had to wait, first, spoilers. There will be spoilers in this, but not a ton. And unless you want my full spoiler one, where I just go in depth of each couple, each relationship, each, you know, thing that I was really happy about, the whole nine. But this is just the objective version, but there are still some spoilers because I have to talk about some of the spoilers in order to kind of talk about my overall feeling of the novel. So, couples-wise, I really loved all of the couples. Everyone had beautiful moments. Everyone had beautiful, sweet, just like heartwarming moments that I was just like, oh my gosh, I love y'all so much. I love y'all so much. I think my couples that stood out, I mean, it's hard because I think everyone stood out. I think the only couple I'm not going to really spend a ton of time on is Matthew and Cordelia because, I mean, we knew it wasn't going to go much farther. They had a moment and it was a cute moment, but we knew it wasn't going to last. So anyway, James and Cordelia, love y'all. But I feel like we knew that was going to happen. So it was just like, you know, just seeing it happen, and it was great. It was beautiful. I think my fave couple was Thomas and Alistair. They were just my fave couple. And Anna and Ari. I love those two couples in particular because I feel like these are the ones that everyone was cheering for, and we couldn't really get those moments. But Cassie spent a lot of time in developing both of their relationships, both of their stories, in Chain of Thorns, and I was really appreciative of that. And they both were in a kind of weird place where they were like wanting to go there, but they couldn't go there because they're like, I don't know how they feel. I don't know if they want to be in this position. And I felt like that was the case for Thomas and Alistair, in both of their feelings. Same with Anna and Ari, like it was both of their feelings, and so it was just like, oh my gosh. Wow. So I love those two couples in particular, because I feel like those are the ones we, you know, knew were happening, but I feel like there was a lot of stuff there that we didn't expect to happen, and it was a lot of working through stuff that they had to do, so it was a lot more development. I feel with James and Cordelia, we were in that situation of just like I said before, like we were just waiting for it to happen, and we were really excited about it. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it is what it is, you know? Lucie and Jesse were really cute, really sweet. I really loved their relationship, how supportive they were of one another, because we really saw that support all the way through, and the love they had was so beautiful and so wholesome, and I really loved them, and their little moments too, they were kind of scandalous, but they were really cute too. And I gotta talk about Christopher and Grace, and we'll talk about Christopher in a bit, but Christopher and Grace were just so sweet and so beautiful, and though they didn't get to kiss, they didn't get that in their time because of stupid Tatiana. They still have beautiful moments, and their most beautiful moment, of course, is probably the scene in which Christopher, who comes back to Grace as a ghost, or some form of a ghost, to, you know, talk to her about, you know, basically give her the encouragement she needs in order to finish the fire messages for them to win the battle and win the whole situation. And so that's what I really that scene probably made me cry. It was like the one love story moment that made me cry, because it was so sweet and so beautiful. And the fact that I think Christopher, I'm reading it as the description, it makes me feel that he had kissed her on the forehead, like on the side of her forehead, and then touched her hair, like pushed it behind her ear, which is something he never actually got to do. They just never got to touch like that or have a really intimate moment like that. And so I think it was just really sweet and really beautiful. But yeah, those are all of my feelings about the relationships. Okay, so next I have to kind of talk about Lucie and Cordelia and their fallout and the resolution of their fallout. So as y'all know, Lucie and Cordelia were going to have a fight. They had the fight. It was really hard to read that part. And it was sad because it was like both of them kind of letting all of their frustrations of the secrets they both were keeping away from one another kind of like coming to the surface. And like Lucie was defending James, but it really wasn't fair for her to be defending James, especially because she didn't see Cordelia's side. But again, she couldn't have known Cordelia's side because Cordelia didn't tell her. So it was like frustration on both of their ends, and it was frustration on my end because I was just like, if y'all had just told each other. But it's like, I get why you didn't tell them and everything, but it was just hard to deal with. And I will say Lucie was kind of acting kind of childish about it. I will say I was getting annoyed with Lucie a little bit because I was just like, oh my gosh, Lucie, like, did you ever sit to think about how Cordelia felt? You only cared about what James felt. Why didn't you think about Cordelia? Cordelia's supposed to be your girl. Why are you worried about James? James can handle himself. He's a boy. He can do whatever, right? But like, Cordelia, that's your girl. Like, are you not factoring in that she could be really upset about this? Or I don't know, like, it's probably because I just love Cordelia, and it's just like, I don't think Lucie was being fair. But at the same time, I don't think Cordelia was really telling her a lot. Cordelia, as Lucie said, was being too proud. And I do think Lucie also, as Cordelia said, can really focus too much about being in, you know, caught up in fairy tale land and her stories and everything. And the whole scene where they kind of, you know, fully resolve, that was really sweet. I was really glad they kind of got to them. They were crying and they were hugging and everything. They're like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, but both acknowledged they were wrong. And I love that because I thought it was like, you have to get to that point when you have that argument where you both acknowledge that you were wrong, because in almost every single situation of an argument, both people have some fault. And I feel like they both are willing to admit that and both willing to, you know, take the L and be like, yo, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And, you know, like, I was too proud, or I, you know, just really like things going the way I like them to go, you know, and not really factoring in your feelings. And so I feel that was really beautiful between them. And, you know, they almost had another spat because there were more to what they were not telling each other. But I feel like they were able to get through that pretty quickly and pretty easily. And the whole wicked Queen Cordelia, that was funny. As Cordelia was laughing, I was laughing at it because it was just like, okay, like, wow, Lucie. But it also showed like that kind of like immaturity Lucie had, where it was kind of like, really, did you really do this, girl? But I'm not gonna spend too much time on it because they hashed through it. We got through it. But yeah, that was a really important part and a really sad part that we had to get through. But yeah. Alright, next we're talking about all of the reveals. There were a ton of reveals of how people truly felt, how people, or secrets people were trying to keep. The one thing, I think one of the biggest things I was intrigued to see was Thomas telling Matthew about his feelings for Alistair, James telling everyone about Grace and what she did. And the third one was the whole, what Matthew did. And so these are like the three big things to me. I felt like these were really the three big things. And really what Lucie did too. But I feel like everyone was figuring that out. Everyone was, you know, coming to, you know, understanding this, that, and the other. I'll start with the Thomas telling Matthew. I don't know. I thought this was going to be a lot more intense, but it wasn't. I wasn't mad about it. It just wasn't as intense as I expected. It was like more like Matthew was like, well, I guess it was funny because he was like, no, I like men. That's what Thomas said. And Matthew was like, well, I rather guessed. And it was just like really funny. He was like, I don't really see the problem. And then Thomas is like, no, that's not it. It's, I'm in love with Alistair. And it was like, and I was like, he said it. He just ripped the Band-Aid off. I was like, yes, Thomas, you did it. And Matthew was just like, oh, okay. Like, he's like, of all the people, but he was like, well, do you really love him? He was like, more than anything, it's just, I don't know how to do it. It's complicated. And he was like, well, your heart was more than once, you know? And I thought that was really sweet because it was like a lot of these things that we were all really worried about and stressing about. And like, even I would say the summary, it made us feel that it was going to be worse in a lot of these situations. It didn't end the way we thought it would. And the same thing with James. Like, James was so scared of telling everyone what was going to happen, or what happened with the whole Grace and his situation. And it was like, everyone was like, James, it's not your fault. Like, why are you acting that way? And I feel like it's like that thing that I do where I'm like, when I actively tell people, they're just like, why, Lauren? Okay, you're good. It's okay. Like, it's okay. People make mistakes, or that's not your fault, or something like that. But we like are so scared of what other people feel. And I think that's just something that I just really loved about these characters, because they really all loved one another and had each other's back. And, you know, supported each other and would never allow something to truly break them apart, because they were at a point where they couldn't be broken apart. They could not get to that point. And so to have that moment where, you know, James, you know, confides in them on this really big thing and really sad thing that happened to him, they all have his back. And they all get mad at Grace because of it. But then, you know, Christopher's like, nope, we're not doing that. Okay, we're not getting mad at, like, yes, what she did was not right, but if we hold so much blame to her, are we any better than Tatiana? And him saying that, I was like, yes, Christopher, yes, get them right. But anyway, yeah, so that was a big reveal. And I think when Matthew told James about what actually happened, what he did, why he has, you know, fallen into this pit of alcoholism, and, you know, going through this pain and suffering of all of that, I feel, you know, James really had his back. And he was like, we all make mistakes. It was a mistake. And even when, you know, we talked about the whole, they talked about it in kind of reflection when he told his parents and how much they loved him. They were like, we were just sad we lost 2 children. One I was pregnant with, but also you. And that was like, because it's true. It's like, Matthew, no. Because then they lost you because he was beating himself up so much about it. Like, he wanted to know the truth. He was so scared. And that's why it was like, going back to that anger at Alistair, like, why'd you have to say that? Because it caused so much more pain and struggle than anything. And now we know why James, you know, Matthew really hated Alistair, because that was such a hard thing. But in the end, I feel we finally got to some form of reconciliation, and, you know, I don't know. I feel like all of those revelations I was like really concerned about and really worried about, but they were really fine. And in the end, but it was like, also like, that's how life is usually. Like, if people would get overly angry at you for some of these things that you generally cannot control, are they really your friends? That's the question. But anyway, I feel those scenes were tough, but we got through them, and they were really beautiful. Now, on to what happened with Christopher. I feel his demise, I'd hate to say demise, because his was a murder. His was a cold-blooded murder by stupid Tatiana Blackthorn, and I can't stand her, and I'm glad Cordelia killed her. Because she was just, everything Tatiana did was just so infuriating. Like, her reasoning made no sense. It made no sense. And everyone kept trying to tell her that. And I love how Jesse had put it. It was so funny, because he was like, Mom, I know, like, you are so heartbroken and so upset about this, but the thing is, you really think they cared this much about you? But the thing is, the sad thing is, they didn't even remember you. They weren't even paying you any attention. Like, you did not exist to them. And it was funny because it was like, wow. But it's also like, oh, right, yeah, Tatiana. And then she's like, I hate you all. And they're like, oh, okay, like, I don't know why. And they're like, right, she does exist. And it was like that moment, which was so funny to me, because he like simplified it that quickly, and we're just like, oh, well, yeah, they don't really care anymore. They're just like, yeah, okay. But yeah, I think her doing that whole thing at the Christmas party, that was sick. And it was also the Lightwood family, with, I always confuse it. Is it Cecily and Gabriel? That whole, Tatiana taking Alexander and everything, I was like, oh, this woman is sick. She's taking a little 3-year-old baby and then trying to put a ruin on him. Y'all, I was about to jump in the boat myself and punch her, because what the heck? What is wrong with you? And then it was just like so crazy. And then the thing that messed us all up, she took Christopher from us. And for that, I will never forgive her. And you know, bye-bye. Enjoy your time in the underworld, because no, bye. Bye. You took Christopher, sweet, caring Christopher from us. And I'm mad at you, Tatiana. Go away. Just go away. We are done with you. Done. But anyway, Christopher's death was one of the hardest deaths in this entire franchise that I had to do. I cried. When I tell you I cried a lot. When I was just talking about it in my other version of this video, your girl was like getting emotional just thinking about it again, because it was just the rehashing of each person kind of finding out and each person seeing it. Like Cordelia being so worked up with rage at Tatiana that she killed her after finding out she had killed Christopher. Then, you know, seeing Anna just not talking at all, but then her going to Ari and, you know, at night and just like at first just trying to kiss her, just trying to forget everything. But then, you know, we realized like she was crying too. And that, the fact you put Anna through that pain, Anna's my girl. I did not want her to be in that pain. And it was so sad because it was something I was waiting for and didn't want to have to deal with. But I knew I was going to have to deal with it. And it was so heartbreaking. And then seeing Thomas just as devastated. Like, oh my gosh. Shout out to Ari and Alistair for keeping Anna and Thomas good. Keeping them okay during that time. But like, we miss you, Christopher. You're amazing. We love you, dude. We knew we were going to have to lose someone. But like, I knew it had to be someone like Christopher or Matthew. Because those are two characters that mean a lot to us. But they both don't have like, there's not a lot. Like, their relationships were happening, but not to the point that it was like, if this happened, there may be another death in the process. Like, I don't know. Like, and like, I don't know, James may do something really crazy if something had happened to Cordelia in that way. Or something, or vice versa and whatnot. So, I mean, yeah. I think it was just, I'm really sad about losing Christopher. It was really, really tough and really, really tragic. And bye, Tatiana, because no one liked you in the first place. But yeah. Okay, so now I'm just going to move on to like my characters that really stood out to me. And you know, some characters who I felt, no, I'm not going to do like the characters that didn't, because I think everyone, they had their moments. I feel like the characters that stood out to me were really all the main characters. I really loved them. James, Cordelia, Matthew, Christopher, Thomas, Alistair, Lucie, Jesse, Anna, Ari, like all of them, beautiful. Did I say Jesse and Grace? Jesse and Grace, like our main peeps. So I think it's like the main 10. I think that's who it is. So, and Grace. So really like the main 11. Like they were amazing. They carried this story, y'all. They gave us every single bit of any type of emotion we needed. They gave us humor. They gave us joy. They gave us heartbreak. They gave us love. They gave us, I don't know, heroism. They gave it to us. They gave it all to us. They left nothing. There were no crumbs. No crumbs. It was just perfection. Absolute perfection. Talk about an ensemble. I feel like this is like the first series in which everyone really, it was really an ensemble, and we really saw that in those last 200 like 50 something pages, and I loved it because of that, and I thought it was just so beautiful. And in the end, you know how it all ended, gosh, y'all, I really thought we were gonna lose James. I was so scared. When I tell you I was so scared, but when Cordelia was able to heal him with Cortana, whew, stupid Belial. Thank God they killed him. They killed him, y'all. They did it. They defeated him. They, you know, were able to defeat Belial. They defeated Tatiana. They were able to defeat every single main villain that they had. They were able to defeat Lilith. They defeated all of the 3 big bads. And that's what I was so excited about, so proud. And even though we lost one of the most pivotal people in the ensemble, Christopher. I feel, you know, it wasn't as bad as like other series in which it feels like a lot of characters are gone. And to be honest, I don't think this is the first one we've had this many characters, but I feel like I loved every single character. There wasn't a character where I felt I disliked them at all. I really loved every single character, and I loved, you know, having those moments with Will and Tessa as always, and Jem. And Jem, you know, I love Jem. He's so sweet. Oh, he's so sweet. And I'm seriously probably going to go back and reread all of the Shadowhunters books after finishing, you know, after I had already finished this. I was like, yeah, I'm going to reread all of them, because I want to get back to that. I love this series. There's a reason I have stuck with it ever since, you know, I read, you know, the first series I read, you know, as they started being published was Dark Artifices. So that was the series prior to Last Hours. And, you know, I loved it so much. I really, really loved Last Hours. Like, this series was so good. And I really think it's because of these characters. I feel all of them have some important part and some important role. And I feel like all of their endings, aside from Christopher's, were perfect. I feel like they all went through some form of pain. They all went through some form of loss. They all had to lose Christopher and all had to learn to move on. And they all worked together in every single moment that they needed to. And they all found love of some sort. And like Matthew, I have hope for my dude. You know, and I just hope he learns to love himself the way that we love him, you know? That's what I really hope for Matthew, because he deserves that, y'all. But I don't know. I'm so excited to see what's going to happen with James and Cordelia, Lucie and Jesse, Anna and Ari, and Thomas and Alistair. And to be able to see what happens with Grace as well. You know, she has to learn how to move on as well, and she doesn't, you know, learn to be herself and be okay with herself, and maybe do some stuff more with science, continue some of the other, you know, experiments that Christopher has started, maybe finish some more of his, and start some of her own. I would love to see that for Grace. But I don't know. I just really, really love these characters. I really love these characters. I have no complaints. I love them all so much. And yeah, yeah. All right. So we are here. We have made it to my final thoughts. I really loved this book. As I told you in my introduction, I have no complaints. None. I think the only thing that was painful was just getting through Christopher's death, but I feel like we had to deal with that because it was that big of a death. It wasn't something you can just write and then move on. We had to deal with the loss of him and the grieving of him. Like that intermission though, when James and Matthew have been taken by Belial and Edom and everything, like it was just, it was just so much pain. I was like, Cassie, why are you doing this to us? It was tough. And I experienced a lapse in reading. I didn't read a lot on Thursday and I didn't read a lot on Friday because I was getting through that and it was really hard to get through. But I feel, you know, you couldn't keep these kids down. They were like, nope, we gotta keep going. Come on, y'all. We got this. And it was tough. It was hard, but they made it through. And, you know, you can't complain. You know, it's just, it was such a good book. I really enjoyed it. I really think it was a perfect finale to the series, which I also truly enjoyed. I loved every single book. I keep been thinking, I'm like, is this my favorite one in the whole Shadowhunters Chronicles? I don't know. I just felt so much. I loved the series. I have no complaints. I really loved all of the characters. In past books, it would be like some characters who I liked, but didn't love. You know, like there's some that, you know, they can kind of go there. But I think the whole storyline was good. It held me on the edge of my seat every single time I was reading. I would keep reading chapter. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop here. But then I was like, oh no, I gotta read the rest of this chapter. Like it was so good. And, you know, thinking of all of that, I feel this book in particular, Chain of Thorns, I'm giving it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was absolutely amazing. A perfect finale. I love the coda. I love the epilogue. The epilogue was great because it really was like tying up loose ends. And it was like that one little thing I was like, well, did James and Cordelia ever get back to that second round of marriage runes? And they did. And so that was like, oh, okay. And then she was like, Cordelia, just a thought make Cordelia blush. I was like, oh, those two little scandalous ones. They were very scandalous. But then when you think about it, like, I don't know. I just love James. I think James is just, he's adorable. But yeah, I don't know. I just really, really enjoyed this book. I really, truly did. And I hope you all enjoyed it too. Those who read it, and those who are about to read it, I definitely recommend you read it. It's so, so good. And yeah, I think that's it. All right, everyone. So that concludes this review video. It's a lot shorter than what my original one was looking like. But I will put a poll up on my YouTube channel for my subscribers to see if you all would want me to do a more in-depth review, but I will sit. I just thank you for sitting and watching this review video. I hope you enjoyed Chain of Thorns as much as I did. But anyway, getting to the point, please give this video a big thumbs up. Don't give it a thumbs down. That's just rude. Also, subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And stay tuned for my next video, which will be my wrap-up video for the month of January. Okay, see you guys later. Bye.